On March 29th of 2025, we are going to have our final solar eclipse at 9 degrees of Aries. And this is bringing the new beginnings that we have been trying to initiate for the last 2 years in alignment with our soul's purpose. So in this video, I'm going to give you your in-depth rundown of everything that you need to know about this solar eclipse so that you can use it to your benefit to align with your highest self, your soul's mission, and your highest desires. Hello and welcome back to the channel. I'm Isabelle, your spiritual rebel friend, and today we are talking about the solar eclipse in Aries, which is quite possibly the most important event of the year, if not one of the top 4 most important events of the year, alongside the other eclipses that we are having both this month and in September. So in this video today specifically, I want to cover the details of the solar eclipse on the 29th of March, the themes that are wrapping up over the last 2 years, or at least the themes that are wrapping up now specifically that have been in effect for the last 2 years, and your horoscope for your specific sign. So if you want to get your horoscope, check out the timestamps down below to jump to your sun and rising sign. I'll also be doing a quick snippet on whether you should check your sun or rising horoscope for this event. Now, hopefully you've already seen my month of March overview for your sign, as well as my overview of the month of March of 2025 astrologically. But if not, let's start by diving into what the key themes are with this solar eclipse in Aries and why this is such a huge event. And quick note before we dive in, book a reading down below, either 1 hour or a 30-minute horoscope reading, where we can dive deep into your astrological birth chart and how these transits are affecting you. So to recap and talk about what important themes are coming up with this solar eclipse, I'm going to bring back an old video from my March 2025 overview and then recap and talk about what themes are most important to note with this solar eclipse in Aries. I'm going to make this very, very brief and very, very simple because I believe it can be. We have 2 eclipses happening in March on the 14th and the 29th, and I'll cover more on this later, but they're happening in Virgo and in Aries. And this is why this month is so big astrologically, because eclipses are already key mile markers or chapters in our hero's journey. They represent key culmination points or new beginnings that are part of our destined life path. And so with there being an eclipse happening in Virgo and in Aries, this not only gives us the first taste of what kind of changes we're going to be initiating over the next 18 months, but we're also wrapping up a previous 18-month cycle that we've been trying to work towards for the last 2 years. We have had until January of 11th of 2025, the North Node was in Aries for the previous 18-month period. So July of 2023 till January of 2025. And this meant we were growing into Aries themes in a certain area of life, learning to be bold, brave, initiative, maybe even more assertive and independent in a certain area of life. And every April of 2023 and 2024, we have tried to initiate a change that is in alignment with our independence, authenticity, and the desire to be more bold. But maybe we haven't quite finished that story, or even when the North Node left this sign in January of 2025, we felt like this story hasn't quite wrapped itself up. And that is because we are experiencing the final eclipse in Aries on March 29th of 2025. And this is a huge culmination point. I cannot stress this enough, and I'm going to talk about this more later. But overall, because these 2 eclipse seasons and a lot of planets entering and exiting Aries, really the main major themes for March of 2025 is incorporating our independence into our life once and for all, initiating change, being bold, owning our authentic self, and also releasing the critic that no longer serves us. We're realizing that something needs to be let go of in our idea of practicality, perfectionism, or even simply put, selflessness. And now's the time we're starting to feel that we need to release that. Overall, there's this energy in the air that we know something's got to give, something needs to change, and as we go closer and closer to the eclipse happening on the 14th and the 29th, we get clearer and clearer on what exactly it is we need to do. We have a solar eclipse happening in 9 degrees of Aries, once again bringing back that numerology 9, a completion truly of a cycle. Look back to April of 23 and 24 to find out what exactly you're trying to initiate in your independence in the end. What is at the core of your desire for independence. What is it truly trying to serve? You can now finally be understanding what this serves and initiating your final hurrah here, saying, this is the independence I need. This is how I need to be assertive. This is how I need to be free. This is how I need to be authentic. This is how I need to be boldly, bravely me. I also have a video talking about what it meant for the North Node to be in Aries. And I'd recommend looking at that if you want more clarity on how this could be playing out for you, because in the end, this solar eclipse, while the North Node is no longer here, is meant to wrap up that cycle in my personal interpretation. As I said, the solar eclipse in Aries, extremely important, happening at 9 degrees of Aries, symbolizes a new beginning from a place of wisdom, but also the kind of wisdom that understands that we're never going to fully know, that sometimes life requires massive imperfect action. Sometimes we have to accept that we're not supposed to be perfect, and that the best thing to do sometimes is take one step forward. And the solar eclipse highlights a lot of themes around communication, since Mercury is retrograde at 0 degrees of Aries, a critical, so to say, degree of Aries at the moment of this solar eclipse. It's very, very possible that we are revisiting old conversations, or that the new beginnings we're initiating have a lot to do with conversations we've been having around our independence in our authentic self. Not only is Mercury retrograde playing a role on this solar eclipse in Aries, we also have one other aspect that I want to note that is pretty key in how exactly this energy plays out, because the new moon solar eclipse in Aries is also forming a positive aspect, a sextile, to Jupiter in Gemini. Jupiter has been retrograde from what I can remember. I can't remember exact dates off the top of my head, but I believe since from October till about mid-February, end of February. We only recently had Jupiter station direct, and this has brought a lot of forward-moving energy for us. Specifically, forward-moving energy in the ways we sought abundance through our curiosity and social network. Jupiter in Gemini highlights the concept that we seek or find both spiritual growth and material growth, meaning abundance of finances, abundance of wealth, abundance of space and time, all those things, abundance of the resources for our life through curiosity and learning. It's highlighted our learning journey, and it forms a sextile to this solar eclipse. So what does that exactly mean? How does that add to the eclipse? So not only is this eclipse wrapping up and bringing new beginnings around a journey towards self-growth that we've taken over the last 2 years, specifically a journey around our independence and authenticity, but also the recent curiosity, the recent learnings that we have been enabling, that we have been trying to promote, that we have been growing into and trying to reach into since May of 2024, are working as an alliance or an ally in this new moon. So I would also invite you with this solar eclipse to get an idea on maybe what exactly you're trying to initiate here. Look back from May of 2024 till roughly October. What were you doing in matters related to your curiosity? Where were you trying to be more curious, ask more questions, and learn? You could also specifically, to get even more clear on that, look at what house Gemini is in your chart for your sun and rising. This is where you've been trying to be more curious and learn more. And that learning could help you with initiating and promoting a new beginning. Jupiter forming a sextile, simply put, to the solar eclipse is extremely positive because this is the planet of abundance. While the solar eclipse peaks on the 29th of March, we can also feel these energies building quite literally by the day, because eclipses are accentuated new moons. And normally we can feel the effects of a new moon 3 days before and 3 days after, with it peaking on the day of. But eclipses are stronger, and so this is like a tide swelling, and it's been building every day since the 14th of when we had the lunar eclipse in Virgo. So start to observe the themes that are coming up for you around your sense of independence and authenticity. What have you been trying to initiate? What is the root theme of what you've been trying to initiate here? I give journal prompts and questions to ask yourself later for each zodiac sign specifically, so I won't go into detail on that. But also note that Venus is also retrograde here, or at least it is until the 27th of March. And this also means that you've been assessing the values of your independence and authenticity here as well. So really notice what values, what you've been reflecting on, what you've been introspecting on, because this is going to play such a huge role in initiating the new beginning that you crave towards an abundant, new, authentic beginning. So now I want to go into horoscopes for all 12 signs. These are from my old videos, these horoscopes from my overview of March horoscopes that I created, and I recommend that you watch for your sun and rising, not necessarily personally your moon, but how I would break down the difference between the two and why you should truly look at your sun sign as well. Is your rising sign, yes, is more tailored to you. It's going to be how this eclipse appears to affect you more. It's going to be probably what you would generally describe as what's happening, especially in the short term, but it's more so your characterized story, meaning that it's more of your mundane story. It's like if you look, it's like what's happening on stage, but if you're going to go look what's happening backstage to create that play, that is your sun sign horoscope. Your sun sign horoscope plays more into what the more purpose-driven story is behind this. What is the root of what the themes are that are coming up for you? What is the true goal of this happening for you? It's much more in alignment with your soul's purpose. If you feel like soul's purpose and you being put here for a reason resonates with you, look at your sun horoscope as well, not just your rising. So check out the timestamps down below, jump to your sun and rising, and then watch to the end of the segment where I share any last thoughts. It's been a long day, guys, hence why I'm clipping all my other videos for this. But jump to the end of this video after you get your sun and rising horoscope to get the final conclusions on this new moon solar eclipse. 29th, we have our final solar eclipse in your sign of Aries at 9 degrees of Aries. In numerology, 9 really does represent a completion of a cycle, the final number. It is the final countdown, the final breakthrough. We have had a solar eclipse in Aries in April of 2023 and 2024. And with that, we have been trying to initiate a change, initiate something new with our sense of independence. I know for me, in April of 2023, I moved out. In April of 2024, I ended my one-year relationship. Both were really revolving around independence, authenticity, living in alignment with my true self was what I was reaching for. But with that, we may have felt like the story was incomplete, feeling that sense of in October of 2024, we were expecting to feel that final culmination of, okay, this is my clarity, this is my realization, this is what I need to do. But instead we had an eclipse in Pisces. And so basically this eclipse that is happening on the 29th is that final initiation we're looking for, that final clarity to say, this is who I am, this is what I'm going to do. So the new moon lunar or solar eclipse in your sign Aries is not only huge because you're in the spotlight, but it's that final completion you were looking for to wrap up the growth journey you've taken from July of 2023 to January of 2025. You've been in the spotlight working hard to initiate change, to grow as a person, and now you can get that final reward for doing so. And at the same time as the solar eclipse, we have Mercury retrograde re-entering Pisces in conjunct Neptune. So while you are completing a cycle, an 18-month cycle of growth revolving around your independence, authenticity, owning yourself, this is also tying into the current work you are now starting related to understanding your unconscious mind more, doing more inner work, understanding your deeper psychological patterns. And so Mercury is here at the same time as this eclipse. And what this can do is it can get you in touch with your deeper unconscious fears and connecting deeper to yourself to understand how you can break free from your psychological patterns while you're initiating this new change. And it gives you that compassionate approach you may need to initiate this change in your life. Instead of being a total Aries spitfire, you know how to speak with compassion but assertion. So in summary, Aries, here's your key takeaway for the eclipses, because if you're going to follow any transit for the month of March, I would just focus on eclipses. Everything else is just additional. But in summary for you, Aries, the solar eclipse in your first house is finally initiating the new beginnings in your self-identity, sense of self, independence, and appearance that you have been working on since 2023. And with the Virgo lunar eclipse in your sixth house, you'll be taking the first step in letting go of what practical, critical, or materialistic behaviors that no longer serve you in your health, habits, routines, and job. And by letting go, you could be experiencing a moment of fulfillment in this area of life, since full moons are a time to reap, reward, and culmination, reap, harvest. What I'd recommend in the end that you ask yourself during this time, Aries, if you're going to ask yourself anything, is what independence and authenticity is my soul ready to initiate in my sense of self? And what perfectionistic, materialistic, or critical behaviors do I need to let go of in order to feel true fulfillment in my health, habits, routines, and job? I want to stress job, not career, because the 6th house has to do with our service-based work, clock in, clock out jobs, 9-to-5 jobs, our tasks more so, rather than our career and our profession. 9th, we slowly are getting, until March 29th, fading into Aries energy. And this is closing out a story that is playing out since April of 2023. This is a relatively long story. Yes, there are longer transits, but I think that there are some transits such as Neptune transits that end up being more collective. So this is closing out a long story that has been playing out in your personal life, revolving around your unconscious fears, unconscious desires, and need potentially for solitude or independent solitary time to discover yourself, learn yourself. You maybe have been, simply put, since April of 2023, realizing the value of your inner work and why having an inner work journey, so to say, is so important to you. So on March 29th, we're going to have a solar eclipse in Aries at 9 degrees of Aries, which is both numerology 9, very symbolic in the sense that numerology 9 is the final number, so to say. Yes, 0 can be considered the beginning and the end, but numerology 9 is supposed to represent completion, the moment where we hit a moment of integrity and wisdom. We experience our full wisdom in our journey. We have deep understanding and culmination. It's like becoming the wise old sage. Also, though, numerology 9 at the same time is a Decan 1 Aries. So this also represents pure Aries energy in the sense of Aries is the fool. And so there's both this symbolic meaning of understanding in the most wise way possible what it means to be the fool, and that you are forever a student of the universe. And so how does this exactly play out for you, Taurus? Having that deep understanding and yet acceptance that learning is never done with your inner mind, and what exactly your physical priorities want to be with that. That is the whole point. So you can look back to April of 2023 and April of 2024. What were you doing with your health habits, routines, and unconscious mind during that time? How much were you doing outer work and inner work? On March 29th, when we have the solar eclipse in Aries, you can finally hit that culmination point you've been looking for, that new beginning that you've been looking for with your relationship with your inner mind. You could really find this moment of, I have broken free of my unconscious beliefs, my unconscious fears, my inner dialogues that have been holding me back, and set new intentions in place around these themes. This could be, that's it, I'm committed, I'm breaking free from this thought. I'm no longer going to keep believing that I need to be attached to people or be fake, or I don't need to keep doing these health habits, I can stop worrying, or I need to start going to therapy. I'm curious exactly to hear, Taurus, how this plays out for you, because the 12th house has a lot to do with unconscious beliefs. So what kind of unconscious beliefs, inner work journey have you been working on since 2023, and how's that been playing out for you? So point being, when we're looking at the macro scale, more so of how March energy plays out for you, the beginning half of the month, Taurus, is really revolving around realizing critical materialistic patterns in your pleasure and play. It could feel that sense of the matrix of, why am I doing this? And slowly that energy, as we peak at, as it peaks on March 14th, you'll reach that culmination point in, well, this needs to change in my pleasure and play. And then it slowly starts fading into Aries energy over the next 2 weeks, saying, okay, this is what I need to initiate in my inner work. This is what I need to initiate with my unconscious thought patterns. This is what I need to initiate with my mind. This is how I need to add more assertion potentially to my mind. These are the dialogues that need to change. Aries is assertive. It is, imperfectly the fool. And so you may be saying, okay, this is what I need to do, even if it's not the perfect thing to do. Also to note, Mercury is retrograde at 0 degrees of Aries. Now I need to make a quick disclaimer. I am sorry, Aries and Virgo. When I filmed your horoscope, I said Mercury was retrograde in Pisces, and I know that's going to make your horoscope slightly inaccurate, but I just discovered that technically at the peak of the solar eclipse in Aries, Mercury is retrograde at 0 degrees of Aries, which means we are even more experiencing this last minute critical point, assertive communication energy. So there could be something you're communicating, Taurus, during this time in relevance to your unconscious mind. Now, once again, Taurus, if you're going to note any transit, the eclipses are the one to note. So to give you your quick summary on that, and you can take a screenshot over the screen of how exactly this eclipse season is playing out for you, since it is the major energy for March. With the Virgo lunar eclipse in your 5th house, you're taking the first step in letting go of what practical, critical, materialistic behaviors no longer serve you in your romance, creativity, passion, pleasure, or passion and pleasure. And by letting go of these things, you're experiencing a moment of fulfillment in this area of life, because full moons are release, but also reward. With the area, English guys, words. With the Aries solar eclipse in your 10th house, you're finally initiating the new beginnings in your unconscious beliefs, fears, and inner work that you've been working on since 2023. Ask yourself during this time, what independence and authenticity is my soul ready to initiate in my unconscious beliefs? And what perfectionistic, materialistic, or critical behaviors do I need to let go of in order to feel true fulfillment in my romance, creativity, passion, and pleasure? Our final solar eclipse in Aries at 9 degrees of Aries. And I want you to pay attention to the fact that it's at 9 degrees because the new moon in Pisces on February 27th was at 9 degrees, and we're going to have some other planets moving direct and retrograde at 9 degrees. So the number 9 reoccurs. And if you know anything about numerology, you'll find that fascinating like I do. If that's overwhelming for you, you don't have to note it. It's also the first decan of Aries, which is the stereotypical Aries, which is the Fool. The idea of the Fool, but yet numerology 9 brings a sense of completion. Basically, the idea that I described in my previous video for Taurus, it's the idea and understanding that we are both the wise old sage who knows nothing, that we are forever a student to the universe, and that our learning journey is never quite complete. So that is really what I see with this energy playing out of Aries, is this idea of Aries, no matter what, is impulsive to some degree. They're imperfect. They are the Fool, but we can have a deep understanding in our previous things we've learned, but also understand that we will never quite fully know and understand that we don't have to be perfect. And this works as a beautiful axis with having a Virgo lunar eclipse as well, really releasing perfectionism and also taking a stand. Point being, this new moon solar eclipse is so incredibly important for you, Gemini, alongside the other signs, because since 2023, you've been trying to initiate a change, a bold, brave, authentic beginning in your purpose and community, in your greatest aspirations, in your impact on the world, finding your purpose and your place. But maybe you feel like this story hasn't been able to wrap up. Maybe you were expecting it to wrap up in October of 2024 and nothing quite happened, or possibly end of September alongside with that. And that is because you have been waiting for this solar eclipse that is going to happen on March 29th, which will wrap up this story once and for all. Since July of 2023, we have had the North Node in Aries, which has been calling you to grow into your purpose. And we got a taste of that theme in April 2023, where you initiated something that later came more into play in relevance to your purpose and being bold and independent in your purpose. So now with the Aries solar eclipse on the 29th, you may be finally initiating what you have been craving in your purpose, in your meaning, in your impact, in your community, in your big groups, in your big aspirations, in your place within humanity, in your individualized role. This is huge for you, Gemini. So you can finally understand what it is you've been craving and reaching for in your sense of purpose and initiate a bold new change that will last. And Mars is also going to be retrograde in 0 degrees of Aries at the same time as this new moon solar eclipse, which means you may be communicating something in an old conversation or old dialogue once and for all to really step into this purpose. How exactly this plays out for you, I'm not sure. This could be leaving a career. This could be starting a new career. This could really just be stating your purpose. This could be giving a speech. There's so many different things, and it really just depends on what purpose means to you. So those are the key takeaways that you need to know and the main effects that you're going to be feeling in March because of eclipse season. Starting off at the beginning of the month, you're building up towards those Virgo themes on the 14th about what you need to release and understand and experience renewal in, almost not renewal, experience culminations and rewards in your home life. And then that slowly transitions to this Aries energy where you're initiating that bold new change. So I'm going to put a summary over the screen for you that I've written up for Geminis for their eclipse season horoscope. Feel free to take a screenshot because this is your key takeaway you should just remember for the month if you're going to remember anything. But with the Virgo lunar eclipse in your 4th house, you are taking the first step in letting go of what practical, critical, or materialistic behaviors no longer serve you in your home, place of living, and family. And by letting go, you experience a moment of fulfillment in this area of life. Again, full moons are rewards, reaping reward. The Aries solar eclipse in your 11th house means you're finally initiating the new beginnings in your community, purpose, dreams, and aspirations that you've been working on since 2023. Ask yourself during this time, what independence and authenticity is my soul ready to initiate in my purpose? And what perfectionistic, materialistic, or critical behaviors do I need to let go of in order to feel true fulfillment in my home, place of living, and family? Let me know if that summary worked well for you guys in the comments below, or if you have more questions on that. But now eclipse in Aries on March 29th, and this affects your 10th house. So I'm curious to hear, Cancers, since April of 2023, look back. How have you been trying to create something new that is independent, assertive, bold, and recognized in your career? Have you been heavily pursuing a career path, one that feels like an authentic path, one that feels bold, one that feels brave, one that feels in alignment with your heart? And is it possible that last year, both in April and in October, were you waiting for some culmination turning point in this area of life, but it felt like it was unfinished? Well, now's the time to wrap up that story. Over the last 18 months, prior to January 11th of 2025, we had the North Node in Aries. And wherever the North Node transits, this is where you're growing. So Cancers, you are meant and destined to grow into your career, into how you are recognized, in how well you are recognized, and how much recognition you deserve, into success, into career success. You're meant to expand your career potential to be the bold, brave, independent person you're meant to be in your career image. But it can feel like in April of 2024, you were ready to initiate something new here and reap the reward in October, and nothing quite happened. Something fell through because we had a lunar eclipse in Pisces, from what I remember. And now with the solar eclipse, the final solar eclipse in Aries on the 29th at 9 degrees of Aries, you can wrap up this journey once and for all by initiating what it is you're destined to in your career. Also, quick to note, but also just for the sense of extra spiritual lessons here, this new moon eclipse happens at 9 degrees of Aries. And as I've mentioned in my previous horoscopes for the other signs, this numerology 9 gives a really beautiful symbolism here into what exactly we are initiating. Aries is the first sign of the zodiac, and it really represents the fool that doesn't know any better. Innocent gaze, innocent eyes, but knows that they can survive anything. In the tarot deck I have, which I wish I had on hand, they show a baby bird to represent this fool. And it really represents this idea of Aries that I think is often misinterpreted or forgotten, because we think of Aries as this bold, brave, strong, capable person. And yes, they are, but from the gaze of the fool, in the sense that they don't know whether they'll survive or not. They're really acting on faith, and they're going to just try their hardest, and they almost don't know any better to know that they could be fragile in this sense. But with the numerology 9 playing into this, the numerology 9 really represents the wise old sage, the completion of understanding, getting into your wisdom and completing your journey. So there's this both beginning and end energy that is meeting itself with the Aries solar eclipse for you in regards to your careers, which is understanding that you are wise, reaching the point of wisdom and knowing that you are forever a student of life. The wisdom of knowing that you don't know any better. The wisdom and intelligence and completion of understanding that you will never fully know. And so really what this solar eclipse represents for you is the clarity that you're always going to be imperfect, but you know exactly how to start. And by doing so, by understanding that you are forever a student in life, in your realm of career, you can really initiate the new beginning that you have been craving from a place of wisdom. This is a 2-year cycle. This has been something that has been playing out for you since April 2023. And while we technically have some longer transits such as Uranus or Neptune, these are more collective in my personal interpretation. And so for this cycle, this is a huge cycle wrapping up in your personal story around your career. And this really goes hand in hand with the eclipse on the 14th. Your daily network, the critical patterns, the materialistic patterns in your daily network and daily communication in your writings and publishings and how you show up on social media could really be playing into this. If you are a professional or an entrepreneur of some kind, this could really play into the story of how are you presenting yourself or being critical in your creation process, and how is that keeping you from the recognition you deserve? And vice versa, how can you initiate something new in your career and profession, and how can that help you release what no longer serves you in your daily network, daily communications, reading, writing, and publishing. So that is the overall major theme for you Cancers in March of 2025 with eclipse season. But there's also additional energies presenting themselves for you to note in March of 2025 that are going to play into this story. Yes, you are releasing what no longer serves in daily network. Yes, you are finally initiating something new in your career and recognition, but there's other things coming into play. So now I wanted to go into a general overview for how the additional transits that are in March and how they will affect Cancer. Before I do so, I want to give you your quick screenshot horoscope for eclipse season. Feel free to take a screenshot over the screen or just listen on, because this is really your key takeaway that I wrote up for you. So with the Virgo lunar eclipse in your third house, you're taking the first step in letting go of what practical, critical, or materialistic behaviors no longer serve you in your communication, social network, social media, publishings, and writings. And by letting go, you're experiencing a moment of fulfillment in this area of life. Once again, full moons are not just release or realization, they are fulfillment, reaping reward, reaping harvest. With the Aries solar eclipse in your 10th house, you are finally initiating the new beginnings in your career, recognition, and profession that you have been working on since 2023. Now's the time to ask yourself, what independence and authenticity is my soul ready to initiate in my career? And what perfectionist, materialistic, or critical behaviors do I need to let go of in order to feel true fulfillment in my communication, social network, social media, publishings, and writings? Eclipse in Aries on March 29th at 9 degrees of Aries. Just like we had the new moon in Pisces at 9 degrees, we also have now the solar eclipse in 9 degrees. And I really love the philosophy around the numerology 9 here, and with Aries being the first sign of the zodiac, in the sense that Aries is the first sign. It's really represents the Fool. At least in my personal interpretation, I don't remember off the top of my head. I'm no expert in tarot which card is associated with Aries. I'm pretty sure it's the Empress. But in my view, the Fool is very similar to the Aries archetype in the sense that Aries doesn't know any better, but they have this almost invincible attitude to them because they don't know what can harm them. And they know that they are resilient in the end. Hence why it's the ram who charges things head on. So there's this Fool energy to the Aries, being the first sign of the zodiac, having no wisdom to gain from previous signs. But then the numerology 9 is integrity and wisdom. It is our completion of our hero's journey. It is the wise old sage. And so there's this theme that comes up for all of us with this solar eclipse in Aries, which is we are the fool who understands that we are forever a student of life. And so with the solar eclipse in Aries, you are initiating something new that comes from the understanding that you'll never be perfect, that you will never have to be this perfect Virgo energy, and that you don't have to know everything in order to take the first step. But you do have some wisdom because we have had multiple solar eclipses in Aries. In April of 2023 and April of 2024, we had eclipse season once again involving an Aries solar eclipse. And what this did is that we tried to initiate change in a certain area of life that was in alignment with being more independent, bold, and authentic. For you, this was specifically in your personal beliefs and ideologies, Leo, in your travel and exploration. The 9th house has to do with what we explore, the unknown in which we explore, to build a sense of meaning in life. This is where we contemplate why are we here and build our personal ideology and belief on why we are here. This also could simply be more simple beliefs and ideologies such as diet plans, as I've often observed with many people, discovering if they want to be vegan or vegetarian as well. So maybe that is more of an accurate interpretation for you. Or maybe you're on the more macro scale end of questioning, why am I even existing? Why are we alive on earth? Why did God put us here? Point being, if you look back to April 2023 and 2024, you will see that you tried to initiate something in your personal beliefs, ideologies, and travels over those 2 Aprils to initiate something new here that makes you feel independent, authentic, bold, trying to find your sense of self through your beliefs and through the new experiences that you pursue. Now, with there being our final solar eclipse in Aries on the 29th of March, you may be finally initiating that change, that new beginning in your personal beliefs, ideologies, and travels that gives you the meaning, the authenticity, the independence that you are looking for. Maybe you were following other people's personal beliefs for a long time. Maybe you are unconsciously a part of a religion potentially, and now you're defining what you want to believe. Or maybe you're leaving your hometown because the South Node was in Libra and the North Node was in Aries, hence why these themes are coming up in very macro scale. And so maybe you are realizing that you need to change where you live. Maybe you need to step out of your hometown, get away from the people you normally connect with, and meet new people, potentially people in far off places. Before we had the North Node in Pisces as of January 11th of 2025, the North Node was in Aries, and that was from July 2023 onward. But we also had that eclipse in the beginning of April that gave us the taste, again, of the themes yet to come. So since April of 2023, and then accentuated in July of 2023 until 2025, you were focused on prioritizing what does a meaningful life mean to me? What are my personal beliefs? What are my ideologies? And now you may be finally experiencing the culmination, the reward of doing that inner work to discover what that is. So overall, the major themes for you with eclipse season is defining what new beginning you want in your personal beliefs, establishing personal beliefs. But before you can do so, you may be questioning your self-worth and recognizing what no longer serves you in your foundation. So your foundation is very highlighted this month, both your emotional and physical financial foundation, as I see it, Leos. And that can sound a bit scary because our foundation is, after all, our foundation. It's what we are built upon. It's our roots. And so to have that a bit shaken up and questioned can be scary, but this is for the better. This is to wrap up a cycle you've long awaited for 2 years and to establish a new beginning that is going to be so worthwhile over the next 18 months. In summary, Leos, to give you your eclipse season horoscope, take a screenshot over the screen if you want to keep this as your key takeaway to keep in mind for March of 2025. With the Virgo lunar eclipse in your second house, you are taking the first step in letting go of what practical, critical, materialistic behaviors no longer serve you in your finances, self-worth, security, and assets. And by letting go here, you're experiencing a moment of fulfillment in this area of your life. Don't forget, full moons are a time to reap harvest. With the Aries solar eclipse in your 9th house, you are finally initiating the new beginnings in your personal beliefs, ideals, travels, and life's meaning that you've been working on since 2023. Ask yourself, what independence and authenticity is my soul ready to initiate in my physical and mental exploration? And what perfectionist, materialistic, or critical behaviors do I need to let go of in order to feel true fulfillment in my finances, self-worth, security, and assets? Solar eclipse, which is wrapping up a story that started in April of 2023. I cannot stress this enough. The solar eclipse in Aries on March 29th is huge, and it's wrapping up a story you've been waiting to wrap up since April of 2023. When we had the North Node in Aries, and for you, Virgo specifically, you started prioritizing growing in your intimate relationships, and specifically growing into more independence and healing your relationship with assertion, especially because Chiron was here in the same sign and still is. But with the North Node being in Aries, and with there being in the past 18 months, so much Aries energy activating your 8th house, you've been prioritizing, focusing, and experiencing lessons in matters related to your intimate relationships, codependent relationships, whether that is financial, emotional, or physical, and how your sense of self plays into that. Specifically, how independent you are, how assertive you are, and how maybe aggressive you are, and how you need to heal that and find a healthy sense of independence in the end. So to summarize a little more in depth, and feel free to take a screenshot of what's over the screen right now if you want to remember your key takeaway for the eclipse season. Again, this is the one thing you should note above all else if you're going to note transits. With the Aries solar eclipse in your 8th house, you're finally initiating the new beginnings in your intimate relationships, codependent relationships, shared finances, and intimacy that you've been working on since 2023. And with the Virgo lunar eclipse in your 1st house, you're taking the first step in letting go of what practical, critical, or materialistic behaviors no longer serve you in your self-identity, sense of self, independence, and appearance. And by letting go, experiencing a moment of fulfillment in this area of your life. Remember to ask yourself, what independence and authenticity is my soul ready to initiate in my intimate relationships? And what perfectionistic, materialistic, or critical behaviors do I need to let go of in order to feel true fulfillment in my self-identity, sense of self, independence, and appearance? March 29th, the solar eclipse in the sign of Aries. The solar eclipse happens specifically at 9 degrees of Aries, and there's a very strong symbolism in the numerology 9 throughout the month, which I'll get to more later. But also on February 27th, we had the new moon in Pisces at 9 degrees of Pisces, and I have a video on that if you haven't already checked it out. Hopefully I'll remember to put that card in. If not, just look for my new moon in Pisces video where I talk about this more. But the numerology 9 is reoccurring, and this represents the completion of a cycle, getting to the highest phase of our wisdom. However, with the solar eclipse being in the sign of Aries, Aries is the first sign of the Zodiac, and really it represents the Fool in many ways in the tarot deck. This idea that you are forever the fool, you don't know any better, you're innocent, you are naive, and you don't know the path forward, but you're hoping that you'll figure it out. In the tarot deck, I have the Wild Unknown Tarot deck, which I love, but don't use enough. The Fool card is a baby bird, and it represents that idea of, well, I gotta fly, gotta try, and if I don't, I'll die. And so there's this energy of the Fool, but combining this with the numerology 9, really this represents being the wise old sage who understands that they are forever a student of the universe. This idea of reaching a point of wisdom from past experience, but knowing that you'll never fully know. And that is the energy that is kind of presenting itself in a specific area of your life, Libra, with the solar eclipse on the 29th of March. And this is even more impactful because we have had 2 eclipses, solar eclipses in Aries, and this is the final one of the set, wrapping up this 2-year journey that you started in April of 2023 and that kicked into high gear in July of 2023. Really, with the reason I say that is because in July of 2023, the North Node entered Aries. And so that meant that your growth was towards your one-on-one relationships. You and Aries were highly in the spotlight for that 18-month period. And it's possible that in April of 2023, you were starting to initiate some changes in your one-on-one relationships. How authentic and assertive you showed up in these, potentially ending relationships throughout that 18-month period, potentially starting relationships, potentially just changing what is currently established in current relationships or what you define as a successful relationship if you are single. But with this solar eclipse happening in Aries on the 29th, you can find that the themes that were occurring in the previous 2 Aprils are coming back once and for all to initiate a final showdown, so to say, and initiate the changes you're craving in your soul in your intimate or one-on-one relationships. This could also be friendships as well, because the 7th house is not just your romantic relationships, but also your friendships and your business partnerships. You are changing in the end how you show up with other people. And so as we grow nearer to the Aries eclipse on the 29th, you're going to have more and more realizations into what changes need to be set into motion, changes that you have been pursuing for the last 2 years and that are a part of your growth. Yes, the North Node is currently in Pisces, which is emphasizing a different growth journey for you around your health and habits. But before you can pursue that, the solar eclipse in Aries is saying now's the time you need to wrap this up first so that you can get along with your journey, get on with your journey. So in summary, Libras, take a screenshot of your summary for the eclipse season if you want, but with the Virgo lunar eclipse in your 12th house, you are taking the first step in letting go of what practical, critical, or materialistic behaviors no longer serve you in your unconscious beliefs, fears, and inner work. And by letting go in this area of life, you're experiencing a moment of fulfillment in this area of your life. And with the Aries solar eclipse in your 7th house, you are finally initiating the new beginning in your relationships, friendships, and committed partnerships that you have been working on since 2023. Ask yourself, if you're going to ask yourself anything during this time, what independence and authenticity is my soul ready to initiate in my relationships? And what perfectionist, materialistic, or critical behaviors do I need to let go of in order to feel true fulfillment with my unconscious beliefs, fears, and inner work? Meaning that how's your relationship with your mind? What needs to be released here? Or eclipse in the sign of Aries at 9 degrees of Aries. And I will accentuate why I mentioned 9 degrees in just a minute. But this is closing out for you, Scorpios, a 2-year cycle. If you look back to April of 2023, you will likely see that you tried to start initiating something new, unthinkable potentially, in your health, your habits, your routines, your schedules, and your services. If you're someone who works a 9-to-5 job or a clock in, clock out job rather than entrepreneurship or leadership roles, this could be very applicable to you as well in this sense, affecting your job. Since 2023, we have been on a journey, all of us, towards initiating something that is bold, brave, authentic, and in alignment with our independence. And that is because starting in July of 2023, we had the North Node in Aries, where it stayed until January 11th of 2025. But the eclipse in April of 2023 was our first taste of that energy, the first taste of the changes yet to come. And then we had another eclipse in Aries in April of 2024. And so what this can feel like for you, Scorpios, is this fact that throughout the month of March and as you build up to the end of the month, you're realizing what it is your soul needs to initiate in your health, habits, routines, and services. What you need to change in your day-to-day life, in your day-to-day habits, what you actually need to change from the moment you wake up to the moment you fall asleep. Something needs to change in that schedule, and you're finally realizing what it truly is. Over the last 2 years, you've tried to initiate something here, something that is in alignment with your soul's growth, but it's been hard to do so. And that's because you've been waiting on this last eclipse to give you the full picture on what you need to do. And like I mentioned, this is at 9 degrees of Aries. The previous two solar eclipses, as far as I remember, in Aries were in 29 degrees, then 19 degrees, and now 9 degrees. So there's this coming back to the root of Aries energy, especially because this is the first decan of Aries, the stereotypical Aries. But also the numerology 9 has this symbolism of completion of the journey, coming to a place of integrity and wisdom and understanding, being wise beyond your years, becoming the wise old sage. But Aries is also the first sign of the zodiac. And so the simple way I would interpret this is we're getting to this point in a certain area of life where we're realizing that we are the wise old sage who understands we will forever be a student of life. The wisdom that comes from knowing that you don't know any better. This is a completion of a cycle that understands that there really is no end to it. And so with the solar eclipse in Aries in your 6th house, you may feel a sense of, I don't know if this is the rule for life, but I know this is the next step I need to take, and the universe is going to provide the rest of the answers I need going forward. And this is accentuated because Mercury is retrograde at 0 degrees of Aries at the time of this eclipse. So that's just the overall themes happening for you. The main key themes, Scorpios, for you in March of 2025 because of eclipse season. This is huge. We won't have eclipses again until September of 2025. So this is really going to be a key moment, probably one of the most important months of the year for you and all other signs. So in summary, Scorpios, take a screenshot over the screen to remember your horoscope. With the Virgo lunar eclipse in the 11th house, you are taking the first step in letting go of what practical, critical, or materialistic behaviors no longer serve you in your community, purpose, dreams, and aspirations. And by letting go, experiencing a moment of fulfillment in this area of your life. With the Aries solar eclipse in your 6th house, you are finally initiating the new beginnings in your health, habits, routines, and job that you have been working on since 2023. Ask yourself, what independence and authenticity is my soul ready to initiate in my health and habits, and what perfectionist, materialistic, or critical behaviors do I need to let go of in order to feel true fulfillment in my community, purpose, dreams, and aspirations? Remember in the end that while we have technically a full moon eclipse and a new moon, which means they're not technically working together, I also see that these stories are very intertwined for you, Scorpios. So how does your purpose in what your idea of your place is in the world affect what kind of health habits and routines you put into place? And vice versa, what kind of health habits do you know you need to put in place, and how does that affect what your idea of your purpose is potentially? Solar eclipse in the sign of Aries on March 29th. When we have the solar eclipse on March 29th, this is closing out a 2-year cycle. Before the North Node and South Node entered Virgo in Aries on January 11th of 2025, we had for the previous 18 months, the North Node in Aries and South Node in Libra, which means over that previous 18-month period from July of 2023 to January of 2025, you are growing towards your pleasure and play, Sagittarius. You are growing to focus on what just makes you happy in your day-to-day life, in your everyday life, what the simple pleasures mean to you, how you can have more fun and focus maybe less on purpose, releasing misconstrued ideas of what purpose means to you or meaning, instead of focusing overly on impact and shifting who you are in order to find that sense of belonging. You are finding out how to have and cultivate more independence by pursuing pleasure, passion, and romance. You're focusing on prioritizing the things that make you feel good rather than the people that make you feel good, or the ways that you maybe potentially sought out validation through social groups or social justice, what's the word I'm looking for? Not justice, social missions, social impact. Overall, with the North Node being in Aries and South Node in Libra, this highlighted your journey towards independence and prioritizing pleasure, play, passion, and romance. But it felt like maybe that story wasn't able to wrap up. Especially in October of 2024, you're maybe ready and anticipating this sense of, okay, I'm in it now. I understand. I know how to pursue my pleasure, passion, and joy and romance, but it didn't wrap itself up. And that is because we didn't have an eclipse in Aries in October of 2024. Now we have, once and for all, wrapping up this story that has been playing out since April of 2023. We have our final solar eclipse in Aries at 9 degrees of Aries. And the numerology 9 in the end represents this completion of a journey. It's integrity, it's wisdom, it's becoming the wise old sage. But Aries is also still the first sign of the Zodiac. And so what this symbolically represents in my interpretation is this deep understanding that comes from life experience, understanding what it is we need to do next, but knowing that it's not the ultimatum. Being the wise old sage who understands they're forever a student of life. And this applies to your pleasure, play, and romance. With the new moon solar eclipse in Aries on the 29th, as we grow nearer and nearer to it, you can feel the sense of realization on this is my next step. This is what I need to initiate. I finally understand what it is I need to do that is in alignment with my soul, that helps me live a fulfilling life by pursuing the things I enjoy from a place of authenticity and independence. So the eclipses are the main character, and they're highlighting your career, public image, recognition, releasing and culminating what no longer serves there, and stepping into new beginnings into your pleasure, play, life enjoyment. So to give a quick summary for your horoscope, take a screenshot over the screen if you want to remember your eclipse season horoscope. This is your key takeaway in the end if you're going to know any transit this month, Sagittarius. Virgo lunar eclipse in your 10th house is taking the first step in letting go of what practical, critical, or materialistic behaviors no longer serve you in your career, recognition, and profession. And by letting go, you are experiencing a moment of fulfillment in this area of life. Don't forget, this is a full moon, a time to reap reward. With the Aries solar eclipse in your 5th house, you are finally initiating the new beginnings in your romance, creativity, passions, and pleasure that you've been working on since 2023. The one thing I'd recommend you ask yourself during this time, Sagittarius, is what independence and authenticity is my soul ready to initiate in my romance and pleasureful things, and what perfectionist, materialistic, or critical behaviors do I need to let go of in order to feel true fulfillment in my career, recognition, and profession. On March 29th, we will have our final solar eclipse in Aries. And for you Capricorns, this is in your 4th house. If you look back to April of 2023 and 2024, it is possible that you will see that you tried to initiate something new in your family, place of living, people you live with, and your sense overall of home. That is because with the solar eclipse happening in Aries, we have been trying to initiate change in a specific area of life that is in alignment with our independence, authenticity, and assertion, with our whole heart and following our heart, truly, is how I see it. And so for you, Capricorns, over the last 2 Aprils, you've tried to initiate something in your home and family life. Maybe that's moving away from family, living in your own home, maybe changing where you live, finding a home that gives you more independence and freedom. But this story didn't seem to fully wrap itself up. And that is because we've been waiting for this final solar eclipse in Aries. This also has to do a lot with your growth as well, because before the South Node was in Virgo and the North Node in Pisces, we had the South Node in Libra and North Node in Aries. That was from July of 2023 to January of 2025. We were growing towards independence, authenticity, and being bold. And for you, you are growing into boldness, authenticity, and independence in your home and family life. This is part of your growth journey. And so before you can step into the growth of your network, the growth of your communication, the growth of your communications, you got to wrap up this story related to your home and family. And so the solar eclipse in Aries on the 29th, as we grow nearer and nearer to it, you're going to find that you feel the desire to set new intentions once and for all in your home and family life. So in summary, Capricorns, take a screenshot over the screen to get your eclipse season horoscope summarized. The Virgo lunar eclipse in your 9th house is taking the first step in letting go of what practical, critical, or materialistic behaviors no longer serve you in your personal beliefs, ideals, travels, and life's meaning. And by letting go, you're experiencing a moment of fulfillment in this area of life. The Aries solar eclipse in your 4th house is you're finally initiating the new beginnings in your home, place of living, and family that you've been working on since 2023. Ask yourself during this time, what I'd at least recommend you ask yourself, what independence and authenticity is my soul ready to initiate in my home and family? And what perfectionist, materialistic, or critical behaviors do I need to let go of in order to feel true fulfillment in my personal beliefs, ideals, travels, and life's meaning? Solar eclipse in the sign of Aries. From July of 2023 to January of 2025, the North Node was in Aries. And what that means is that we were all growing to learn some form of authenticity, independence, and assertion in a certain area of our life. And these themes kicked off starting in April of 2023, before the North Node even entered the sign, because we had our first solar eclipse, I believe, in 29 degrees of Aries. So if you look back to starting in April of 2023 and then accentuated in April 2024, and possibly even some themes starting to grow in July of 2023, you're going to see that you were maybe trying to initiate authenticity and independence within your daily network and the way you communicate on a day-to-day basis. If you happen to be an entrepreneur or an influencer who does digital work, online work in some form of writing blogs, publishing content, this is also tied in, because in the end, the root theme with the 3rd house is the words that are spoken on a daily basis or that reach people on a daily basis. So hence why it is our daily network as our neighbors and the grocery store clerk is the idea. Or it's also our social media, our writings and our publishings. And so that also ties into the idea of objective information, which is also a theme of the 3rd house. So this could be if you're writing a book or publishing content of any kind, this also ties in. Point being, with the eclipses that have happened in Aries in your 3rd house for you, Aquarius, it can feel like over the last 2 years, you're trying to initiate a bold, authentic new beginning in the way you express yourself, in the way you communicate yourself, in the people you network with. And yet, at the same time, it felt like this story was left with some loose ends. Yes, the North Node entered Pisces on January 11th of 2025, but it can feel like there was unfinished business. And that is because we have been waiting for this final solar eclipse in Aries to wrap up this story. The solar eclipse in Aries at 9 degrees of Aries on March 29th is here to bring you that final new beginning you are looking for, that is destined in part of your destiny, part of your highest growth, to initiate bold new change in your daily network, your daily communication style, the things you publish, your writing, your content creation, and your social media. And I really want to tie in the idea of the numerology 9 presenting itself here, because the solar eclipse happens at 9 degrees of Aries. Mercury is going to station retrograde at 9 degrees of Aries. And we had our new moon in Pisces on February 27th at 9 degrees of Pisces. The numerology 9 keeps presenting itself. And the numerology 9 is meant to be the completion of the journey, the final number, so to say, with 0 representing both the beginning and the end, the preface and the completion, similar to Pisces. Point being, numerology 9 is said to be the number of completion. It represents a symbolic finishing of our journey, becoming, so to say, the wise old sage. But at the same time, Aries is the first sign of the zodiac. And so throughout our journey of having the North Node in Aries and the eclipses in Aries, there's been this energy of being imperfect and being the fool in many ways in the tarot, being innocent, naive, not knowing any better, unknowing of the danger, but knowing they have to start taking the first steps. Their innocence is their demise and their strength. And so really this energy that presents itself with the solar eclipse in Aries that keeps trying to remind itself of its energy with Mercury stationing retrograde at 9 degrees and the new moon in Pisces at 9 degrees is this aura of understanding that we are the wise old sage who understands they are forever a student of life. Reaching this point of wisdom and completion from past experience and knowing at the same time that our growth journey is never complete. It really is embracing imperfection, which is also a theme with the lunar eclipse already in Virgo, which has heightened themes of recognizing our perfectionist patterns. So releasing perfectionism is a huge theme. And for you, this is really tying into not only your intimate relationships, but your daily network, who you surround yourself with, the outside world you are connected to, and the words spoken in that outside world. For you, you're wanting to initiate a new beginning here, and you can very well initiate a broad, bold new beginning aligned with your authenticity in your daily network, daily communication, daily publishings, writings, creation, so that from a place of wisdom, you can understand that you're imperfect. It's really taking that final, so to say, new step, next new step that you know you need to take from a place of wisdom, knowing that this isn't the end game ultimatum answer, but I know this is the next step and that is okay. And so again, this for you, this March 29th solar eclipse in Aries is you initiating new beginning in how you communicate yourself on a day-to-day basis, who you communicate yourself to on a day-to-day basis, your daily network that you surround yourself with, the things that you write, the things that you create, the words that are spoken, the books that you publish on a day-to-day basis, your teachings as well. I was really trying to clarify the themes of the third house in my entire interpretation for your major themes and the Aries eclipse, because the third house is often very misunderstood, or at least I notice it leaves a lot of confusion. So let me know in the comments below if that was clarifying for you, or if you still need more clarity on what exactly third house themes bring up. But in summary for you, Aquarius, again, if you're going to note any transit in March of 2025, I would note the eclipses. And so you can take a screenshot over the screen of your Aquarius eclipse season horoscope. With the Virgo lunar eclipse in your 8th house, simply put, you're taking the first step in letting go of what practical, critical, or materialistic behaviors no longer serve you in your intimate relationships, codependent relationships, shared finances, and intimacy. And by letting go, you're experiencing a moment of fulfillment in this area of life. With the Aries solar eclipse in your 3rd house, you are finally initiating the new beginnings in your communication, social network, social media, publishings, and writings that you have been working on since 2023. The number one thing I'd recommend you ask yourself during this time is, what independence and authenticity is my soul ready to initiate in my network and communication? And what perfectionist, materialistic, or critical behaviors do I need to let go of in order to feel true fulfillment in my intimate relationships, codependent relationships, shared finances, and intimacy? We are going to have a solar eclipse in the sign of Aries. With the solar eclipse in Aries, this is wrapping up a 2-year cycle. The North Node was in Aries from July of 2023 to January of 2025. And we got a taste of this North Node Aries energy even before July of 2023, because in April of 2023, we had a solar eclipse at 29 degrees of Aries. So since 2023, April of 2023, you have been trying to initiate a change in your self-worth, and also how your finances and your sense of security help you attain that self-worth. In the end, the 2nd house has all to do with our ability to be self-sufficient, both physically and mentally and emotionally. And so with there being this solar eclipse, the final solar eclipse in Aries, you're finally able to initiate that change you need and crave for your growth and well-being in your self-sufficiency. This could mean financial breakthroughs, starting something new that gives you financial opportunity. This could be establishing self-security. This could be moving out and attaining enough finances in order to sustain yourself. In the end, this could be an emotional journey. It is an emotional journey at the root of it, in the idea that you are attaining the self-worth that you desire. The solar eclipse is specifically going to happen at 9 degrees, and I think this is a symbolic meaning in the sense that numerology 9 is the completion of the journey. It's the final number. It represents integrity and wisdom. And so it's almost like being the wise old sage. And in that sense, meeting the sign of Aries, Aries is the first sign of the Zodiac. It represents being the fool in many ways. And so really the initiations that take place on the 29th of March with the solar eclipse in Aries are coming from a place of being the wise old sage, so to say, who understands that they are forever a student of life. It's this imperfection energy of deep understanding and wisdom, but also knowing that nothing is the ultimatum, nothing is the end game, nothing is the final step. So really with this solar eclipse in Aries, this could be an imperfect, so to say, initiation. It can feel like, well, this isn't quite, I don't think, the right thing to do in the long run, but I know it's the next natural step. And for you, this revolves around your finances and your self-worth. So in summary, Pisces, take a screenshot over the screen for your quick eclipse season horoscope summary so that you can keep it on hand, because if you're going to note any transit, it would be this one. With the Virgo lunar eclipse in your 7th house, you are taking the first step in letting go of what practical, critical, or materialistic behaviors no longer serve you in your relationships, friendships, and committed partnerships. And by letting go, you're experiencing a moment of fulfillment in this area of life. Again, it's a full moon, a time to reap harvest. With the Aries solar eclipse in your 2nd house, you are finally initiating the new beginnings in your finances, self-worth, security, and assets that you have been working on since 2023. What I recommend you ask yourself during this time is, what independence and authenticity is my soul ready to initiate in my wealth and worth? And what perfectionist, materialistic, or critical behaviors do I need to let go of in order to feel true fulfillment in my relationships, friendships, and committed partnerships? So now that you have your horoscope for the solar eclipse, final thoughts here. This really is an opportunity in the end, without any of the information, to ask yourself, what does my soul need to do next to be in highest alignment? That is the whole concept, I think, in the end of any sort of eclipse, is the idea of, does there need to be a curveball? Does something need to change? Is this a point or an opportunity to make massive change? And specifically with this being in Aries, it's about, how can I accept I am imperfect, and what does the action need to be that I take based off of that? How can I take massive imperfect action in alignment with my heart? And how can I pull from my past to understand better what exactly massive imperfect action I should be taking during this time? So let me know in the comments below, did your horoscope resonate for you? Are you feeling the energy of this eclipse? What exactly is coming up for you with this eclipse? What are you thinking about? What do you feel like you need to initiate? And how is this in alignment with the journey you've been taking over the last 2 years, in alignment with growing into more authenticity, assertion, and independence? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you want to learn more about how specifically this solar eclipse is affecting you, book a reading down below. I now offer 30-minute horoscope readings where we can dive in 30 minutes deeply into your horoscope for your sun and rising for this solar eclipse, to utilize its energies to your benefit and flow with it to stay in alignment with your soul's destiny, so to say. So book a reading down below, and be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel and stay tuned for more videos breaking down the stars. Once again, my name is Isabelle. From my heart to yours, namaste.